Most people who right side from private property to HDB flat after 55 do it for a simple reason. Some wants to free up cash for retirement, others want a lower monthly cost or just a simple lifestyle that is easier to manage. After all, private property such as condo often comes with higher maintenance fee and not forgetting higher property tax that add up every year. And of course, many may want to live nearer to their children so they can look out for one another. But knowing why isn't enough. The real question is, what choices do you actually have? And what rules will affect your move? Can you buy a new or resale HDB flat? Can you still qualify for grant? What happens to your CPF once you sell your private property? And what are the conditions you need to take note of before making the switch? In this video, I'll break it all down for you so you know exactly what to look out for before you make that move. Hi friends, my name is Kenneth, a former police officer with 16 years of real estate experience. I help seniors plan their right sizing journey so they don't just sell and buy, but make sure the move is in a way that supports their retirement lifestyle. Now let's dive in. Before making the switch from private property to HDB flat, the first thing you need to understand is your overall financial health and what your retirement savings will really look like after the whole move, from selling your private property and buying your next HDB flat. To get there, we start with step 1, the selling side. And it's not just about the selling price. At high level, the formula is selling price minus your outstanding loan, minus your CPF refund, minus selling costs like commission and legal fee. What left is your cash proceeds, and let me give you a quick example so it's easier to see. Say you sell your condo for 2 million, less outstanding loan 300k, less CPF refund with accrued interest 480,000, less legal fee about 3k inclusive of GST, less agent commission which is 2% about 43,000 inclusive of GST, and that leaves you with 1.174 million in cash proceeds. Let's say you're buying a 4-room HDB resale flat in Punggol for 650,000. And let's say the CPF you can use after setting aside your full retirement sum is 200k. The cash you put in is 450,000. Stamping fee around 15,000, legal fee about 1,000, agent's commission about 7,000, total cost estimated about 673,000. After less than 200k CPF that you use, you top up about 473,000 in cash. So from the 1.174 million in cash proceeds, you use 473,000 for the HDB purchase. You'll still be left with around 701k cash in hand. So that's the big picture of your financial health and how much you may actually walk away with. But this is just an example. Your numbers will be different. But the point is, don't just look at the selling price. Work out what really flow back to you and what actually go back to your next home. I'll keep this light for now. In another video, I'll dive deep into the calculation with worksheet and real life case study so you can run the numbers at your own pace. So do subscribe, and once that video is ready, I'll leave the link in the description. Next, before we move on to buying HDB flat, there are still a few things on the selling side you really need to check. First, if your private property still has an outstanding loan, check if there's any lock-in period. This is especially important if you have recently refinanced or repriced your home loan. What it means is, if you redeem your home loan early, in this case by selling the property, the bank may impose a penalty. And you can usually find this info in your letter of offer LO when you took up or refinance the loan. Next, check if seller stamp duty SSD apply. If you own the private property for less than 3 or 4 years, you could be subject to SSD. I will not go into the exact rate or details here because most sellers don't sell within the SSD period. But if you bought your unit quite recently and it's something to confirm before you proceed. And finally, take note of your CPF usage. The CPF you use for the property together with the accrued interest must be refunded when you sell. If you have held the property for a long time, say 20 or more years, the accrued interest can add up to quite a significant amount. So make sure you log in and check your CPF statement and know exactly how much is needed to go back. Now let's move on to the buying side, and this is where the rules start to feel very different from private property. If you are right sizing from a private property, you generally cannot buy a flat directly from HDB, and that includes BTO, sales of balance flat, even brand new ECs from developer. There is a 30 months wait-out period before you can even apply. And there's one exception is if you are 55 or older, then you can apply for a short-lived 2-room flexi flat or a community care apartment without waiting. I've done another video that did dive into short-lived 2-room flat, and I'll leave the link in the description if you're exploring that. Now, come back to HDB option for seniors, right sizing from private property. The practical and most common route is still resale market. As of now, if you're 55 or above, you can buy a 4-room or smaller resale flat immediately. But if you want a 5-room or bigger flat, you are still subject to a 15 months wait-out period. This is a temporary measure, and the government has already said it will review once resale flat prices stabilize. So depending on when you're watching this video, the rules may already have changed.
Precisely because there were concerns about higher resale flat prices. But this is not meant to be a permanent measure. So I hope that when the situation improves and the resale flat prices begin to moderate, we are able to consider reviewing or even removing this restriction.
But the rest of what I'm about to cover is still relevant. Next is eligibility to buy HDB flat. Before you buy a HDB flat, you need to have a valid HFE letter, which stands for HDB flat eligibility. You may apply online at HDB portal and it's valid for 9 months. Think of it as HDB upfront check of whether do you qualify to buy a HDB flat. I'll also leave the link in the description so you can apply directly. Now you may also be eligible for certain grants and incentives when you right size. One is Proximity Housing Grant, PHG, or what most people call Stay Near, Stay With Parents or Children grant if you have not taken them before. Family can get up to 20,000 if you buy within 4 kilometers or 30,000 if you live together. Single get a smaller amount, 10,000 or 15,000. The grant goes to your CPF and you must remain within 4 kilometers radius during your minimum occupation period, MOP. If your children or parents move away from that 4 kilometers during this period, HDB may call it back. Another is the Silver Housing Bonus. Right now, it's up to 30,000 when you right size and top up your CPF account. From 1st December 2025, seniors who move into 2-room flat or community care apartment will also get additional 10,000, bring the total bonus to 40,000. Again, I cover this in detail in another video and I'll leave the link in the description. On loan, after selling a private property, you can't take a HDB loan right away because of the 13 months rules. Your option is bank loan, and how much you can borrow depends on your age, your income, loan to value limit, and the assessment from the bank. And finally, remember the resale flat policy. HDB flat comes with 5 years minimum occupation period before you can sell or rent out the whole unit. For some prime location HDB flat, the MOP can stretch up to 10 years. And that's something coming in the future. So just take note. And every HDB resale flat is still subject to Annex Integration Policy and SPR quota. In simple terms, this means not every flat can be sold to every Annex group. For example, sometimes a Chinese buyer may not be able to buy or a Malay buyer may not be able to buy the flat if the block or the estate has reached its quota. HDB update their system every 1st of the month for us to check. If you are buying on your own, make sure you check it yourself. And even if you are working with a housing agent, don't assume, always double check, because sometimes even agents can overlook this. And it will be too late if you already given a deposit later and find out that you are not eligible, and that can create some problem later on. So buying a HDB flat is not just about the pricing, it is also about knowing the rules, the grant, and the condition that will shape your next move. Finally, let's talk about timeline and process. This is the last part and I'll keep it simple so you know what to expect and the choices you have. There are really two main ways to do it. Option 1 is to buy your HDB first, then sell your private property. If you take this path, HDB gives you 6 months to sell your private property. The steps are straightforward. Apply for HFE letter, get approval, then do your house hunting, negotiate, and once you agree on a flat, you give a deposit, let's say $1,000, to secure the option to purchase. If you are using CPF for the house or taking a home loan, then you need to apply a request for value of the flat. Wait for the value to be out. Within 21 days from the OTP date, you can exercise the option and give a second deposit, say $4,000 to the seller. In this case, the total deposit is $5,000. But do note that the maximum deposit is $5,000. You can negotiate lower deposit with the seller. And from there, submit resale application. Next is endorsement, approval by HDB. You get to do the final inspection, followed by completion where you get to collect the key and start renovation and moving in. The whole process from OTP date to completion takes about 3 to 4 months plus minus. Because for most people, the funds from house A needs to go into house B. They can't just buy HDB outright without selling their private property first. And that's why they go for option 2. Sell your private property first, then buy your HDB flat. And here's how it usually works. When you sell, you issue the OTP usually with 1% deposit from the buyer. They have usually within 14 days to exercise the option and pay another 4% deposit. Anyway, all these are negotiable, and from there, the completion normally takes about 10 to 12 weeks. Once the sale is done, your CPF refunds go back to your CPF and cash proceeds to you. And that's when you can use those funds to buy your HDB flat. The steps are the same. Secure the OTP, exercise it, and complete the resale. The challenge with this path is timing, because CPF funds need to move from house A back into your CPF before they can use for house B. The process takes a bit of time, so we usually plan the two completion few weeks apart, about 3 weeks, to ensure that the funds are ready. There may still be a gap between moving out of your private property and moving into your HDB flat, especially if renovation is needed. In that case, some owners may arrange for an extension of stay with their buyer so they have more time before moving out. So option 2 gives you the time for the funds you needed, but it can be more stressful to coordinate the timing. So to conclude, right-sizing from one private property to HDB after phase out isn't just about selling one place and buy the other. It's about looking at your financial health, planning the sales, understand the rules for buying, and managing your timeline carefully. Get these steps right and the move can give you both stability and peace of mind in retirement. If you are still unsure about how the numbers work out for your own situation, your cash, your CPF, and what you can actually use for your next home, I'm offering a 15-minute phone consultation to help you run through the numbers. Just click the link in the description. By the way, if you are moving into a 3-room or smaller flat, you might qualify for Silver Housing Bonus, and I have broken down in another video which you can watch here. My name is Kenneth, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.